Welcome to 3 for 3 podcast. Podfather Alex Gutt, Teach Paul Nelson here. We're going to be talking about 3 topics today. We're going to dive right into them, dissect, debate, disagree, come together on some of them maybe. Today, listen, we got the Podfather's very own NFC East predictions, wrapping up the NFC. We're going to talk Paul Pierce versus Dwayne Wade, or maybe not talk so much about it. Jaylen Brown getting the bag. But first, again, breaking news from today, Bronny James collapsed at practice at USC. Again, rushed to the hospital, cardiac arrest, in stable condition out of the ICU. Podfather, you're a father first. So your thoughts when you heard about this?
Yeah, initial thoughts were this is becoming more prevalent in sports. I think the media, maybe it's not more prevalent like it happens more, but it's covered more. And this happens to be a huge figure. As a dad, man, so glad he was at a place like USC where they had all of the capabilities, all of the facility, all of the management, all of the team there to be able to help him out. Glad to hear he's in stable shape. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, as a parent, the first thing I thought was, man, I'm glad they caught this early if it's a pre-existing condition. If it's an enlarged heart, I have to imagine with everything that Bronny's been going through the last couple of years, getting ready for his pro career, that he's doing the right thing. He's getting checked up. I mean, this is a kid who's American royalty. That he is American royalty. What does this mean for his college career and pro career? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my mind really didn't go there. I thought about it a little afterwards, given off the initial shock of it. I think right now it's secondary. Let's make sure the kid's healthy before before I even start to think about that. I was so looking forward to watching him play ball this year, seeing what Bronny could do. I think he's grown so much through high school. We saw it in his senior year. The kid really come alive, showed his skills. Health first, right? Let's
Yeah, I
look at
think
that.
definitely as a parent, you kind of go, career choices are nice. You always want to push your kid toward where they want to go. But as a teacher, as a coach, my first thought was, man, I wonder what lifestyle choices he had that could have brought him. Listen, I down as many energy drinks as the next guy, body by Cheeto, right? I'm not a pro athlete. I'm far from it. But the amount of coffee, energy drinks, pre-workout drinks that these kids consume and then go hard at it and don't really give their body time to recover scares me. And I hope that's not the case with this. Um, and then my second thought was, what does this mean for LeBron? And we were texting back and forth, and you brought it up, and you were like, he probably has to reevaluate, right? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely implications of this for LeBron as a father, as a family guy. He always preaches family. As a matter of fact, I think he held on to the NBA like he has because one, he's still a good player. Two, he wants to play with his son, and that's been talked about many and many a time. And so, if Bronny can't play, does that change things for LeBron? I think so. I know as a Lakers fan, no way we could have been ready for this. Nobody's ready for this. But prayers up for the James family, LeBron, his wife, the kids, all of them. We'll let basketball be second right now, and whatever it is, it is. As a father, if he walks away, I can't be upset.
I mean, what ran through my mind was Michael Jordan stepped away after his father passed, and that was a huge personal tragedy. And yeah, Bronny James is still alive, but it would not shock me to see LeBron say, you know what? I'm going to take a year. I'm going to make sure he's all good at USC. I'm going to spend more time with family and then adjust accordingly. That he still has a couple months to figure out and navigate this. So like you said, prayers up. You never want to see a kid go through this. And hopefully this brings a lot of attention to the medical side of college athletics, something that, has been overlooked. I think DeMar Hamlin brought a lot of attention to the pro side of training staffs and the importance of that in athletics. So hopefully this trickles down into high schools as well. Now, Bronny James, his career is just starting out, but Jaylen Brown's just took a step forward. So let's talk about Jaylen Brown absolutely getting the bag. So 5 years, $305 million, right?
Crazy.
$61 million a year, right? This is a two-time All-Star. He finished second team All-NBA last year. What were your first thoughts on that?
So my first thoughts is I initially ran to the book, right? Now it was like, I want to compare that to active players right now. Okay, so I wrote down the top 5 paid basketball players in the NBA right now. Okay, and I want to go through this 5 list, and I want you to tell me which one of these players he's better than. Okay,
None of
Jokic.
them. None of them.
Jokic is
I'll
5.
ruin the ending of this movie. None of them.
Yeah,
Watch.
Jokic is 5 years, 276.
Yeah.
Beal is 5 years, 251.
Uh,
Booker
I'm-
is 4 years, 234.
okay.
Cat is 4 years, 234, and Giannis is 45 million a year. Has a couple years left on his contract before he can re-up. So he won't get paid. I think Jaylen Brown's, what is he owed? 25, 26 million this year coming up. Like, he's not going to hit that salary yet.
I think it's 38 this year.
No, it's not 38 this year.
I think it's
no
something
way.
ridiculous. I think it is like 38. Yeah. It's not 25.
I think it's like 26 this year. I think it's
I don't
26
think so.
this year, and then the kicker kicks in. And so, but we'll look at that and we'll bring that back into play. But either way,
He's better than Beal. He is better than Beal. Who would you rather have right now, Beal or Brown? But that's the only name on the list.
no, I
That's
have
it.
him above. I have him above Cat, and I have him above Beal. I take him
Oh,
over
yeah,
Cat, and I take him over
maybe.
Beal.
Maybe
Uh,
that's not bad.
Right? Yeah. So he's right in the middle. Like, but yeah, it's a lot of money. Money.
Listen, it's awesome, great for him. Okay, I had on here. Was it an overpay? I don't know. Do you think they overpaid him?
I think it's a egregious overpay. But the new CBA is going to be what it is. There's going to be more money to play with. I worry, and we'll get into this later. I worry because Boston still has work to do next year. They have a lot of work to do next year. We'll see what happens. It's overpay.
Listen, Austin Rivers immediately came out and fired off the CBA is only going to help the top 5% of NBA players. It's going to help people at the top. It's not going to help people in the middle. And I was like, is this Bernie Sanders or Austin Rivers? I didn't know. Like this. Wait a second here. This was a negotiated CBA. Listen, I don't think it's an overpay. I definitely don't think it's an underpay. I think it's just a pay. This is a guy who came into the league out of California who everybody said he can't shoot. He's a lot of potential, but don't know if he's going to live up to the third pick. He was kind of a joke when they drafted him third. He helped get Boston to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals appearances at age 20 and 21. As a 21, he averaged 24 and 3 against LeBron James, a prime LeBron James. He's been to 5 conference finals and an NBA finals. And there are only a handful of players, I think 6 players, that have played more playoff games than him. That being Kawhi Leonard, Magic Johnson, Daryl Dawkins, surprisingly on the list, Jason Tatum, his teammate, Tony Parker, and your very own Kobe Bean Bryant.
And that's before age of 25, correct?
26, which 26. He is.
Okay, So you think it's a fair value. You think it's just right.
I think it's what it has to be.
Take away that you're wearing the hat, right? It is what it is. I think it's an overpay. So what I'm looking at now is I don't think he's a superstar in the NBA. I think he's a next tier down or maybe a tier under that. I don't even think he's Jimmy Butler. I think he's a tier under Jimmy Butler. And so when I look at it, I think, what is that? 5 years, 300 million, that's 60 million a year. I have him pegged around the 32, 35 range. I think is fair. 60 million is almost a double pay, but we'll keep it moving.
You sound like a politician. You're not counting for inflation for the next 5 years. Remember,
No,
he's not getting this right now. He's getting it. This is 5 years. Now, I will say this. It's a move that Boston had to do. Okay? You cannot lose the asset.
No matter what,
you cannot lose the asset. And it was great that they got the job done, knowing that everybody else had money this offseason and they were courting them. So this is great. Listen, Brad Stevens, as good a coach as he was, he's been an even better executive. So he pivoted, they moved on, and you know what? If it doesn't work out, like you said, they got to pay Jason Tatum next year. Awesome. Guess what? This becomes a tradable asset. And there are going to be a handful, 7 to 12 teams, 15 teams that will say, you know what? At $61 million, we still love Jaylen Brown. Yeah, bring him on. So that's a current Celtic. Let's talk former Celtic. I got all my Celtic stuff on it. I know you with those Laker colors love talking Boston so much. Uh, Paul Pierce. All right, the dude just wants to stay in the news. He came out and said again, "Well, I think I'm a better player. I think I had a better career than Dwayne Wade." Your
I,
first thoughts when he said that?
my first thoughts was, man, I know Paul wished he would have retired as a net. You know what I mean? Like, wish he would have retired as a net. Instead, he came back to Boston, retired in Boston. Look, it is what it is. Paul Pierce is so worried about keeping his name relevant. Let these guys play basketball. Let the new age have their time. Paul, you had yours. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it moving. Paul Pierce. He says some crazy stuff.
What did Draymond tell him? Oh, you thought they loved you like that? They don't know.
Yeah,
Listen, they don't love you like Kobe. They don't. There ain't no retirement tour.
yeah, it's a
They don't love you
retirement
like
tour.
Kobe.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll say this: going back, that we're a week before I go back to school. So I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been able to get a lot of relaxation time in, and looking back at the numbers. Listen, Dwayne Wade, it's he had the better career. It's not even close. Dwayne Wade is closer to Kobe's ranking all time, who I have top 5. I have him 5th all time. Then Paul Pierce is to Dwayne Wade. So no, like Dwayne Wade is closer to Kobe Bryant than Paul Pierce is to Dwayne Wade.
I agree
Now,
because Dwayne Wade's he's the third best shooting guard to ever play the game. Paul Pierce, in terms of being a small forward, I mean he's probably around 15.
I think total players, if you're talking about the grand scheme, all the players, right? I think he's somewhere 50
Yeah,
to 60. He's in
yeah,
that range. I think Dwayne Wade is in the probably mid 20s, early 20s
25,
to mid
25 to
20s.
20. Yeah,
That's now there is an argument about peak. Now, who had the better peak? I I, I know you're looking around, but remember, this is a guy who won the '08 championship, and you know, I could argue that his peak was as good as Dwayne Wade's. The problem was the years around it. Listen, let me just zip the time machine, right? In 2008, he beats LeBron James and he outplayed Kobe in the finals. Okay?
he won Finals MVP.
He outplayed Kobe in the finals. Not many people can say that. He got revenge on Orlando in 2010 and we got to see that re-up in the championship that went the Lakers' way. Garnett was the best player on that team, though. Garnett was
100%.
definitely the best player, but Wade's peak is probably higher too. I mean, Wade carried some of those dog crap teams in Miami.
It's not even comparable. Listen, I think Paul Pierce was he was a good player. He's a top 75 ever basketball player to ever come through the NBA. There's no knock to what Paul Pierce was. I'm not even taking a stab at him. But in terms of, hey, Paul Pierce, will you go down in the same likes as Dwayne Wade? Absolutely not. No, not even close. I think if I had to remake Paul Pierce, like take Paul Pierce's NBA 2K rating, his best ever, I think it's like a 91. Dwayne Wade's
Y'all,
a 97, right?
y'all
And
kill
so
me with ratings.
it
Y'all
is
kill
what it
me with.
is. It is what it is.
First of all, you didn't have to make the stab joke either. All right. I picked up. Listen, I smelled what you were stepping in. All right. I got that one. You didn't throw that by me. I do want to. Dwayne Wade, we can agree Dwayne Wade is not in his category. I do want to talk and play a little 3 for 3 with you. See
Oh,
if we can figure out who may be. So I sent you a list of names. Let's play a little 3 for 3, Paul Pierce or. Okay. So Paul Pierce or Vince Carter. Who did you have?
career or peak?
Career. This is all career because he said he had a better career than Wade.
Okay. Either way, Paul Pierce wins both of these against Vince Carter. Love Vince Carter, but Vince Carter was a superstar because he dunked, not because he was ever great. So he was really cool to watch. Paul Pierce is a better basketball player.
Agree. Paul Pierce had a better career than Vince Carter. Paul Pierce or Tracy McGrady?
Paul Pierce had a better career. Tracy McGrady had a better peak.
I think Paul Pierce had a better career. It's hard for me to put any faith in a dude who never won a playoff series. Never won a playoff series. If you make the team better, why doesn't the team win, Tracy? Now, Tracy was awesome to watch. Paul Pierce allowed for more winning on the Celtics. Another Celtic, Paul Pierce or Ray Allen?
I went Allen on career and Allen on peak.
I have Pierce, both with career and peak. I think if Pierce goes to Miami instead of Ray Allen, they probably bring home 4 championships and not 2. That's just how I feel. Uh, Paul Pierce or Allen Iverson?
Iverson career and Iverson peak.
Give me Paul Pierce career, Paul Pierce peak. Iverson had a 1 year peak. He had a 1 year peak where he got to the finals, where he shouldn't have got to the finals because he ended up beating Ray Allen's team. That was it. And his peak was so short. Listen, it burned so bright, so short. It was such a quick fall off.
You realize Allen Iverson changed the game of basketball? Pierce changed his pants one time.
Listen, I get. Did Allen Iverson or did the And One mixtape tour? I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know. Let's see. Paul Pierce or Sean Marion?
Pierce and Pierce. Easy.
I have Pierce. I don't think it's as easy as you think it is, though. Because Sean Marion quietly I think Sean Marion changed the game more than Allen Iverson did. Fact.
The way it was played, him sitting in the corner, him playing defense, the Matrix style. Like, I get it. He was like a Swiss Army knife, but I'm gonna go Pierce and Pierce. Easy.
Pierce or Scottie Pippen?
This one's Pippen, hands down. It's not even close.
Listen, it's Pippen. It's Pippen. There's no way. I mean, it's just Scottie Pippen was different. He was different. I think that's who Paul Pierce could have been. All right. But he didn't play that defense. Let's go modern players. Paul Pierce or DeMar DeRozan?
Career and peak, I'm going to go Pierce and Pierce.
Yeah, I think it's Pierce here as well. Do some predictions now because this is what we have. You have to predict the career. Paul Pierce or Brandon Ingram?
I'm still going to go Pierce and Pierce. I don't see Ingram getting a chip nor a Finals MVP with where he's at currently, and I don't see where he can move to make that happen. So I'm going to go Pierce and Pierce.
I don't know that Ingram can be the second best player on a championship team.
He's got
third banana written all over him. Pierce or Mikal Bridges?
Pierce again. I mean, Mikal had one good year, like half a year, 20 games, whatever. Pierce.
This is Paul Pierce all day. Paul Pierce or Chris Middleton?
I said this one's closer than a lot of people would think. You go back and look at the stats. They both play second fiddle to an all-time great, okay? I'm still going to go Pierce because I think he had a better offensive game than Chris Middleton. Pierce and Pierce on this one.
I think it's Pierce as well for both. Paul Pierce or Jimmy Butler?
I put a question mark. Does Jimmy get a chip? It's going to be Jimmy Butler if he gets a chip. Peak and career. Right now, I'm going to go Pierce on career.
You reading my notes because I had Paul Pierce, ... unless Jimmy Butler wins a championship. Because Jimmy Butler is a number one on a championship winning team,
dude.
I think.
He is that dude.
Just needs the ring. Paul Pierce or Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi Leonard. Not even close.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard is sneakily one of those guys where you say, he's got how many rings? Oh, yeah.
Kawhi Leonard hasn't played the last 17 years, and he's almost a top 10 player ever.
This is one of the ultimate questions of, had Kawhi Leonard not gotten hurt, what are we talking about? So
it's crazy.
Paul Pierce, listen, we get you want to go ahead and talk your stuff with Kevin Garnett and stay in the news, be newsworthy, go right ahead. We have you as one of the all-time greats, but Dwayne Wade was just a different dude. He was just gritty coming out of Marquette. Should not have been. He was going to be picked by Detroit had they not taken Darko Milicic, right?
Milicic, too.
He was the pick. He was the pick. Joe Dumars loved him. Isaiah Thomas loved him. I would have loved to seen that happen. You know, he probably comes off the bench because nobody starts for Larry Brown. But that would have been great. Listen, from Celtics in the Eastern Conference of the NBA to the National Football Conference in the East Division, we have finally come to the moment you've all been waiting for. Mr. Cowboy himself. This is the Podfather predictions. Really quick before you get into the NFC, if you haven't looked at the AFC predictions yet, it's time to place some bets. It's time to go back and look at Podfather's predictions and see who he has getting to the playoffs. The 4th seed and the 6th seed, I don't know if I agree with. I definitely agree with the 1 seed, but that 4 and 6, maybe. I don't know. But other than that, we've been pretty lock in step. You want to go ahead and talk about the NFC so far?
Yeah, and it's not even that. Remember, we're going versus the DraftKings over under on win totals every week for each team. You see what we think. Listen, good bets are good bets. Time to jump on the train. Get on the train, look at it. It's so good. Now, that being said, NFC East so far. Let's get some division winners out there really quick. NFC North, the Lions win the division at 10-7. I love the Lions and what they're doing. Really excited for the talent they have over there. In the South, the Saints win at 10-7 because I'm a Carr believer. I am a believer in Derek Carr, and so we're going there. And in the
You're
West,
driving that car.
yeah,
You're
driving that car. And in the West, we have the 49ers coming out as division winners at 12-5 there. They are just the 49ers. Shanahan is just Shanahan. And they got some guy named Nick Bosa on the defensive line who is crazy good. Not saying he'll be defensive player of the year this year because we're going to talk about that guy tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about the upcoming defensive player of the year. But that's it for the NFC playoff seed so far. Let's jump into the NFC.
That was good. That was good. I think the wild card right now, Seattle's up there with 10-7. Everybody else was kind of middling. So this seems to be the division that everybody has a fresh start, and the franchise with the freshest start. You can't get fresher than new owner, new ownership. Why don't you talk about the Washington Commanders while that's still their name?
Yeah, let's not say Commanders. Let's say Washington. We don't want to label them as anything yet. They could change, just like them, the flip-flop. That's who they are. Let's talk about
Washington politicians.
Let's talk about Washington. So last year, Washington went 8-1. They had that tie with the New York Giants. Really fun game to watch. Both teams were crazy. This year, just a quick overview. There's a reason to celebrate. If you are a Washington fan, there's reason to celebrate. Dan Snyder is gone. He is out. In comes new ownership group, and that includes Magic Johnson. You see, peep the cap, okay? Peep the cap. I'm not a Washington fan. Magic Johnson is now a traitor, labeled off of my team, okay? So now I have to say this. Unless there's real magic there in Washington, that's probably where the good news stops. That's probably it. The name Magic Johnson, if there's not real magic, that's where it ends. Now, I did like they brought in Eric Bieniemy. I'm a big fan of Eric Bieniemy. I think he could do wonders in Washington, okay? He did play a major role in who Patrick Mahomes is. Sam Howell, however, is not Patrick Mahomes. He's just not. So one start last year was enough for them to say, okay, we're going to commit to this quarterback. He's who we're going to play. He had one start last year. That's where they're going. It's Sam Howell all the way. Let's see what year two has in store for this kid. Now, DraftKings has this team, this Washington team, at over-under on win shares of 7.5. 7.5 over-under for wins. Teach, let me know what you think. Over-under on the Washington football team.
I think this is the year that they fire their coach. Rivera went from Riverboat Ron, taking gambles on plays in Carolina, to retirement Ron. Hopefully Eric Bieniemy can help Howell, but I think it's going to be a bumpy year. I have 6-11 under.
Under at 6-11. That great play. I also took the under. I have Washington finish at 5-12, so you have them one more win than I do, but both of us still take the under there. I again think this could be it for Ron Rivera. I don't think this could be it. This is probably it unless there's some booming change in Washington and they win 9 or 10 games, which I don't see happening. The reason I don't see that, I don't trust the quarterback situation. This is a quarterback league. You can't win without a quarterback unless you're San Francisco. So that's it for Washington. Under 7.5, 5-12 Washington.
Real quick before we go to the next one, Magic Johnson said that the sale of, or the buying of the Washington Commanders was the greatest accomplishment in his career. Your thoughts? 30 seconds. Your thoughts? That's total shots at the Lakers.
Who is Magic Johnson?
Yeah, I could not believe he said it. Finals MVP rings. That was so stupid. Listen, they sold for $6 billion. I guess that's a lot of reasons to say it. So they're handing out tons of money in Washington. The Giants just today started handing out money. Let's talk Giants.
Yeah, Giants. So just today they signed Saquon. He signs a 1-year, $11 million contract. I'm glad they got that behind him. I was super worried about that. But here, let's talk about New York. Uh, Surprise team of the NFC last year. I think there was a surprise in the AFC. This is the surprise of the NFC. And not only they slip into the playoffs, but they slip right by the Vikings in round one. So it was fun. The Giants accomplished a little bit, right? But that's kind of where it ended. So then they go into the offseason to improve and become real contenders. What New York Giants are supposed to be. It's supposed to be giant football. Remember hearing that term when I was little? Giant football. Oh, it's the New York Giants, the G-men, whatever you want to call them, right? Darren Waller's added. They had a nice draft. They draft Banks to fill in for that secondary. They get John Michael Schmidt on the offensive line. They had Jalen Hyatt as wide receiver in the third round. Good pick. And they overpaid Daniel Jones, gave him 4 years, $160 million. Saquon Barkley, they figured out today. So I think there's been some distractions in New York, although maybe that's clarified now. We'll see. Is he happy at 1 year, $11 million? I don't know. Maybe he just signed it. Okay? We'll have to wait and see. All that being said, I do like Daboll. Listen, I'm a fan. I really am a fan. And what he did with Daniel Jones last year, I think, is real. I think maybe he's the quarterback whisperer. I remember him over there with Josh Allen. We talked about it months ago, right? Josh Allen had a better year last year than he did 2 years ago than he did last year. So I don't know. We'll see if the Giants did enough. DraftKings has them at 8.5 wins, over and under. Teach, what are your thoughts? Over or under 8.5 for the New York Giants?
I'm stuck on quarterback whisperer. Daniel, this is what we need. Daniel, do not look off the safety this time. We're going to trick him with a draw play. Daniel. I have Dabble as a good coach as well, though. So he puts his quarterbacks in positions to where they're comfortable doing what they do best. He utilizes the athleticism of Daniel Jones, who we all know is sneaky athletic. You can read between those lines and tell me what that means. Now that Saquon's back in the building for 1 year and $11 million, I think they'll do better than expected. But even with him, they're still only an 8-win team. I'm going under 8 and 9.
Ooh, you're going under 8 and 9 for the New York Giants.
Giants.
Yeah, I did the exact opposite of that. I took the over, and I had them at 9 and 8, okay? Because I looked at Daniel Jones last year running. He looked better than Josh Allen last year. I don't know. It's the Daboll thing, right? And so
he did not look better than Josh. Josh Allen had half an elbow, and he still looked better than Daniel Jones.
Total stab at you. That's all it was. That was not. Let me course correct really quick. I am taking the over. I had the Giants finish at 9 and 8. I'm not sure if Daniel Jones is really the answer. So I think they're probably a mid-tier team. 9 and 8 is perfect for them. Still taking the over 8.5.
Yeah, from the team that plays in New Jersey, I don't know why we still call them the New York Giants. They are not. They are the Jersey Giants, where, like we all know, what do they do in Jersey, Podfather?
Yeah, they ski in their jeans. And also, you bring in a third-round wide receiver to help open the field up for Daniel Jones is exactly what they said with Hyatt. I don't know. I don't know.
I like Hyatt. I like Hyatt a lot.
He's probably a great kid, and he's probably going to be a good football player, but it's year one, and he's going to be the guy that's going to open the offense up. Let's see.
I think there's going to be a lot of underthrown passes to Jalen Hyatt, though. I think there's going to be a lot of Hyatt going, I threw up my arm, okay? I beat my guy, and then I had to backpedal and knock the ball down. Get out of here, Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Vanilla Vic, maybe not great. So from Jersey to Philadelphia, let's talk about the Super Bowl runner-up, Philadelphia Eagles.
There's a lot to talk about with the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, they finished 14-3. Cry, Eagles, cry. Can the Eagles rebound from the Super Bowl defeat at the hands of Patty McTouchdowns and those Kansas City Chiefs? Brian Johnson takes over for Steichen. What do you know about Brian Johnson?
Another quarterback whisperer.
Right. Okay, so he takes over. Yeah, Sean Desai takes over for Gannon. Okay? To further expand on that question, like, hey, do you guys know these guys? Like, will it even matter? Here's why. The NFC champions were able to do what nobody thought they could do this past offseason. They kept Darius Slay, and they kept James Bradbury. Then they kept Fletcher Cox, and they kept Brandon Graham. Then they added Jalen Carter, and they added Nolan Smith. Well, that didn't end it, though. Then they took Miles Sanders and they replaced him with DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. The offensive line anchored by Kelsey, Mailata, Johnson. They're still the best in the league. Singing, blocking, doesn't matter what they're doing. They're just the best in the league. Devontae Smith should be scarily better in year 3. All right? And I've yet to mention A.J. Brown or the quarterback that most people shot up in their top 5 rankings, Jalen Hurts. Loaded may be an understatement for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's all I'm saying. So, that being said, no team in the NFC East has won the division 2 years in a row since the Eagles did it in 03-04. Will they break the 20-year curse? We'll see. My answer's coming up shortly. But I got to pass to you, Teach. DraftKings has them over under a 10.5 wins. Give me your thoughts.
Listen, I've been enjoying my week and a half off between summer school and real school starting. And one thing we've been doing at my house, we've been watching a lot of Jurassic Park. Okay. So what happens when John Hammond takes Eagle DNA and mixing it with Bulldog DNA? Well, this is what you have. Okay. Listen, I love their draft. I love this team. I love what they did. But the coordinators, listen, the coordinators, it's tough to replace 2 coordinators. Now, Jalen Hurts, let's just talk about him for 1 second, right? Jalen Hurts threw 60 total passes in the fourth quarter all season.
All season.
That's how good they were. His team was so far ahead, fourth quarter, 60 total passes for the year. That being said, they're great. There's going to be some bumps in the road because of the coordinators. I still go over 11-6.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. Yeah, so I also took the over on Philadelphia. I had them finishing at 12-5. I can't see them winning 14 again, just for stats that you just threw out there. They went into almost every game with a fourth quarter lead last year. He didn't have to throw the ball. He was never really challenged. That's Jalen Hurts I'm talking about. They got this brutal 5-game stretch after their bye week. Let me read it off to you really quick. They're at KC. They're at home for Buffalo and San Francisco. Then they're at Dallas and at Seattle. That's right after the Week 10 bye week or something like that. Like, it's crazy.
That could be a 1-4 week. That is a championship. That's a championship month of football where you look at your team and say, we have to go 3-2 for this 5-game stretch. There's nothing about that.
Yeah, we have to. So most brutal stretch of football I saw in every schedule this year happens to fall to the Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas Cowboys have a good stretch too, but this 5-game stretch is absolutely brutal because of where they're traveling. But I got them going 12-5. They're going to have a great year. They're just too loaded.
This is it. Do you want to take a moment? Do you have something to drink? Because this is where the whole Podfather predictions has been lining up to this moment. To quote the Podfather 7 months ago, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Dallas. If you were with us early on, you heard him make that statement. The road through the Super Bowl goes through Dallas. Take it away. You're Dallas Cowboys.
First of all, I've said crazier things. Okay. Okay. Let's put it out there. Right. I've said crazier stuff. I want to start here. My beloved Dallas Cowboys. Anybody that's ever watched this or knows me personally knows there's 3 things in this world that I absolutely love. I absolutely love, number 1, the Dallas Cowboys. I absolutely love, number 2, the LA Lakers. And right below the LA Lakers is Kobe Bean Bryant. Okay, those are my 3 sports loves. That's just where I fall. It's who I am. I love them. And I'm a diehard fan. And I'm probably labeled just the way you would label a fan of any of those, right? And so call it what you want. Let's talk about my Dallas Cowboys. Kellen Moore's out. McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer take over play calling. Now, we did replace Noah Brown with Brandon Cooks. Major upgrade. Zeke is gone. And what's the make of the running back situation? Pollard's coming off an injury. And we have 2 unproven players behind him, Malik Davis and Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn may weigh 180 pounds soaking wet, right? So I'm not sure what to make of the running back room. And there is talk of this staying with the contract of Zach Martin. That bothers me a little bit. He's the anchor of the offensive line. We'll see how that gets worked out, okay? Now, can Dak rebound from a league-leading interception ratio or having the most interceptions in the league last year despite playing 12 games? That's a big question mark. We'll see what he has this year. But Dan Quinn did return. Thank you, Dan Quinn. I thought you were gone. I think every Dallas Cowboy fan feared it, but you are back. And not only is he back, but he has orchestrated the last 2 years the most turnover forcing defense in the entirety of the NFL. Okay? That defense being led by none other than Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs. Congratulations, Diggs, on your contract today. Super excited that you're going to be a Dallas Cowboy for a long time. Now, they come out with news that Mike has been focusing on pass rushing and bulking up after finishing second in the Defensive Player of the Year voting last year. And that could be huge, pairing him full-time alongside DeMarcus Lawrence. I think he's the forgotten guy on the defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think he has to be a favorite to win that award this year. I think Micah Parsons has to be the favorite this year to win Defensive Player of the Year. Okay? Now we replaced Anthony Brown with Stephon Gilmore, another major upgrade. And we drafted Monty Smith to help plug the defensive gap that we have in the running game. Will it be enough? I think the running back room could be a problem. And I think the Dallas Cowboys don't have a tight end yet. We have Jake Ferguson. Now, I was super excited about what I saw last year from Jake Ferguson, but that's playing, not even split duty with Dalton Schultz. And that guy's in Houston now. And anybody that's watched Dak Prescott play football for the last 6-7 years knows the tight end is the safety outlet for any quarterback, and Dak loves his tight end. And so I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. Now, it seems going into the year, there may be more questions for Dallas than there is answers. And I think that's what most Dallas fans are used to. I don't think we're in the realm of like, oh, Dallas Cowboys are playing it different this year. No, this is exactly it. This is Jerry Jones' brand. This is the Dallas Cowboys. But after back-to-back 12-win seasons, I believe I can comfortably look at this Dallas Cowboys and say, at worst, we're a wild card team. And at best, we're a Super Bowl team. Okay? Now, DraftKings kind of agrees with me. They got the over-under on the win totals at 9.5. Teach, I'm going to pass my beloved Dallas Cowboys over to you for your over-under on 9.5 for the Dallas Cowboys. Don't ruin my night. Let me hear it.
All right, so let me start with, you usually say, hey, this is the best tight end group in the league, in NFL or college. This is the best tight end group. Jake Ferguson. And so it's just funny to see, listen, I texted you 2 months ago when I first heard it, the Texas Coast offense. Installing the Texas Coast offense, less first down running back carries, which were predictable as hell last year, less dependent on the tight end, which is important for this offense, more pushing the ball downfield. I love that. I watched a lot of college football, so I love Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is an amazing football player. He is a different version of Darren. Everybody says he's Darren Sproles. No, he's better than Darren Sproles. He's a playmaker. There's also rumors that Zeke might come back. So that's been in the coffee. That's been in the mix. I don't like Stephon Gilmore. That's something we argued about. I think he's washed. He's been getting everywhere on reputation alone, and he hasn't been good for a while. You hated the Mozzie Smith pick. Hated it. And fast forward a couple months, you love it now.
I didn't say I love it. I said we drafted him. I didn't say I love it.
Listen, you said the next day you went from I hated him to I love that pick, actually. I love that pick. So I don't want to hear it. Now, is this a double-digit win team? Yes, it is. 10-7, 10-7, taking the over.
I love that from you. I love that for you, and I love that from you. Because I think we're right on the same page with the Dallas Cowboys. I took the over. Dallas also. I have them at 11-6. I don't have them at 10-7. I have them at 11-6. Here's why. I think Dallas's reputation for defense is going to get better this year. I think Micah Parsons is going to be better this year. I think Michael Gallup is coming off of his 1-year return from the ACL. He's going to be better this year. You pair that with Brandon Cooks. You pair that with an already good CeeDee Lamb. Dak's going to be better this year. And so I like where Dallas is going. I do have question marks. Tony Pollard is a better runner of the football than Zeke Elliott. Zeke was a handicap last year. He was a handicap the year before. The offense should flow better with Tony Pollard when he returns to full form. I'm not sure when that's going to happen. That was a brutal leg injury. And so I've got Dallas the over at 11-6. You heard it here first. That's where I'm at.
That's great. You know, the biggest question could be coming up. about this Dallas team, but I won't spoil it. Do you want to give us a recap of the NFC East, just the standings that you have them at?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Podfather predictions here at 3 for 3 podcast recap for the NFC East falls like this. We have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East at 12-5. We have Dallas Cowboys in second, finishing at 11-6. Then we have the Giants, the New Jersey Giants, the boys that ski in their jeans, finishing at 9-8. Daniel Jones can't get it done. And then we got the Washington, well, we'll call them football team again now. Magic Johnson, the ex-Laker, should have been a Celtic. We have them at 5-12. So that is the NFC East standings right there. Yeah, go
Listen,
Philadelphia.
I think looking at it overall, the biggest storyline for the NFC East, in my opinion, is probably Philadelphia, right? Super Bowl hangover. We see Super Bowl hangovers all the time, right? We saw it with the Rams last year. We saw it with Tampa Bay the year before. And we saw it with San Francisco the year before that, right? They all had brutal hangovers and had to change some things middle of the year. The Eagles are not those teams. I think they are far better. I think their offseason proved it. The biggest question is, can their coordinators, not Nick Sirianni, but their coordinators step up? Brian Johnson did a wonderful job grooming Jalen Hurts. But as the Bills saw with Ken Dorsey, there's big difference between a quarterback coach where you only have to worry about your quarterback and looking at the entire offense. So they have some coaching questions. I think that's the biggest storyline for the NFC East. What's your biggest storyline for the NFC East?
Yeah, so true. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles, they ace the offseason. You don't see that happen a lot from Super Bowl contenders. They just don't have it in the ability, and they did. A great thing. I love that storyline. My biggest story of the NFC East, of course, staying on the Dallas Cowboy train. This is it for McCarthy and Dak. This is their final year to prove, hey, we're those guys. Either we are them boys or we are not them boys, and they got to go. So, to me, that's the biggest storyline of the NFC East this year.
I think that the coach, I think Mike McCarthy might be the only thing holding Dallas back. So let's check in every week or so in the season. Where are you at right now with your panic level? 1 to 10. 1 being, I'm cool, keep McCarthy, he's the man. 10 being, he's got to go, I will drive him to the airport. Where are you at right now?
About a 4. I'm at a 4. Let's see. Last time he called plays, he won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, well, let's listen. Those are a couple different storylines. I do have some 3 for 3 statements if you want to run through these things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's play a little agree or disagree with 3 for 3. The first one, the Commanders should have drafted Will Levis or Hendon Hooker. What do you think?
I agree. Quarterback room's a problem for the Washington Commanders. Not saying that they would have been the end all, the fix of everything, but I agree.
I agree as well. We're 2 for 2. Make sure you guys let us know if we're 3 for 3. All right. I don't think Howell is the guy that Levis or Hooker could be. So, again, let us know in the comments if you think we're right. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC.
I disagree.
Who do you have better? I agree. I think he's absolutely the best, and he's got the most unstoppable move in football from 1 yard.
No, I don't think he's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, but I'll keep it there.
Wow, that's wild. Let us know in the comments who's right, Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's who we have next. He is a top 3 quarterback in the NFC.
Hey, he's the best quarterback in the NFC. I agree.
I think he's probably third, maybe second. I don't know. There's a whole group of dudes like Carr, Geno, Goff, Cousins, Prescott. They're all in the same. It just depends, I think. Brian Dabble is the best coach in the NFC East.
I disagree. I'm going to give that to Nick Sirianni.
I think it's an agree. I think Brian Dabble did more in New Jersey, the Giants, with less. I think if you put him on that Philadelphia team, I think he probably goes to the Super Bowl as well. Another coach, Ron Rivera, is the first coach fired in the NFL.
Agree, 100%.
Yeah, we're definitely 2 for 2. He's definitely gone. If he's not gone by week 5 or 6, I don't know what they're doing. Saquon, new Saquon, just went ahead and signed that contract. Is he still going to miss some games this year and cost the Giants a playoff berth?
Health is a real concern for Saquon, but I like what I saw last year, so I'm going to say disagree. I'm going to say no, he's not going to miss games. What was the statement? Saquon's going to miss games. Disagree. He's not going to miss any games this year.
I think he's going to miss games. I disagree. I think he's going to miss games, and I think this is going to be like the week 15, 16, 17. Coach, my back hurts. I'm not pulling anything.
I'm done. Yeah.
Micah Parsons is going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
I agree.
He's going to take another huge step forward, and it's going to be helped by playing alongside Mozzie Smith.
And already has the fastest first step in the NFL for any defensive lineman. If he bulks up and adds power to those moves, that guy finished second last year. He'll win Defensive Player of the Year this year.
A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are the best wide receiver duo in the NFL.
In the NFL?
Yeah, in the NFL.
I disagree. I'm going to go Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
I agree. I think there isn't a better duo than A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Independently, they're both top 10 wide receivers. Devontae is a Swiss Army knife. He can play the X, Y, or Z. And A.J. Brown is just a beast. And the last one, the Cowboys are going to miss Zeke Elliott and Dalton Schultz this season.
I agree. I think we're going to miss the ground and pound of Zeke Elliott, and we're going to miss the safety valve of Dalton Schultz. We'll see. I agree.
I agree on Schultz, and I disagree on Zeke. Schultz is a beyond the box score dude. Zeke isn't. I think very.
But I think Zeke was utilized wrong. I think they knew he was gassed. He was done. If you'd have kept him as a short yard back, the way we used to use Marion Barber, Mike Allstott was used like that, use him in that type and let him run the ball 10 times a game, he could have been tremendous.
The problem is you don't pay those guys $25 million.
You do not. You do not.
Do you want to go ahead and tell us then your final predictions, your playoff predictions for the NFC, and then go ahead and close out the show, Podfather?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all you, baby.
Yeah, so here we go. The end of the Podfather predictions for the entirety of the NFL. This is the breakdown on the NFC playoff seeding as it stands per the Podfather predictions. At number 1, I had the 49ers getting the bye week. They are the winners of the NFC West, and I think they beat the Eagles in that brutal game in Week 13 in that brutal 5-game stretch we talked about earlier. At number 2, the Eagles come in at 12-5. Of course, winners of the East. Of course, they lose to the 49ers in Week 13. That's where the 49ers jump them at. I got the Lions at 3 at 10-7. They are the North winner. The Saints fall in at 4. They are the South winner. And then 5, wild card. The Dallas Cowboys at 11-6. I love the matchup with the Cowboys and the Saints. Winnable, easy for the Dallas Cowboys. At 6, we have the Seahawks at 10-7 in wild card. And then in 7th place, sneaking in, the New Jersey Giants missed the playoffs, and the Minnesota Vikings with Justin Jefferson get into playoffs out of for the last wild card spot. That's it for the NFC. Next week, we'll go into playoff round 1 and 2. And start to break the bracket.
I love it. Make sure you guys tune in next week. Make sure you're following us on TikTok, on YouTube, on all our socials, and then reach out to us. Let us know what you want to talk about. I'm sure we're going to be getting into everything. Again, there's Podfather's predictions, there's Teach's Classroom, and there's you guys. And make sure next time we're 3 for 3.